This time, we're going to demonstrate how Newired can help to speed up onboarding for financial applications without any change to existing software. The purpose of Newired is to make complex software easier to understand and browse. Our main presentation will show you some of the main Newired features and tools that your people can use to improve the user experience of any web-based financial or banking application, regardless of their technical skill level. Now I'd like to introduce today's presenter, Robert Palomo, Product Communication Manager at Newired. He will introduce the Newired approach to UX management and show you some concrete examples of Newired end-user guidance overlaid on top of the internet banking application of an actual bank to make sure that both new and experienced users feel at home with complex transactions and never get lost. I think you will find that very interesting, so please stand by for a moment while we get started.
Hello and welcome. You know, one of the industries that can greatly benefit from investment in UX management is the finance industry, which includes banking, investment, trading, and things like that. Now, all of these have embraced web-based software applications to a greater or lesser extent today, and many of these apps have a large number of features and pretty complex procedures. In just a few minutes, we'll be showing you some of the very concrete examples we've prepared of how Newired can help create a pleasant user experience in an actual internet banking context. But before we do that, I'll take just a few moments to introduce the Newired solution and our UX management approach. Newired is the first solution of its kind designed to be deployed in enterprise IT environments. There's no third-party cloud involved, and the enterprise always has full control over the system and the data, something that's pretty important to people in the financial industry. We've worked hard to keep Newired simple. Any Windows or Linux admin should be able to get the server component installed and configured in just a few hours. Then, as we'll be showing you, your internal experts, regardless of their technical skill level, can easily create contextual online guidance for your customers or employees that will exponentially improve their user experience, and all without ever touching your existing web-based assets. Using a website or web application is a lot like setting out on a journey. You have a destination in mind, and you need to travel the right route to get there. Whole industries have sprung up to guide travelers, map making, and then later technologies like GPS. So why isn't anyone doing that for web users? Well, at Newired, we are. Nobody likes to feel lost, or worse yet, stupid. But that's what happens to far too many website users these days, and it's even worse for users of complex web-based software applications. So our solution lets you easily take your customers, employees, and website visitors on interactive guided journeys to reach their objectives. Properly managed UX can have some pretty positive outcomes for the enterprise in every facet that involves web-based resources, from marketing to onboarding and training new employees, to customer care and support, right on through to product management. Let's now have a look into how the Newired solution works. There are many applications we could look at, but since almost everyone uses a bank, let's focus on internet banking and how Newired can help ensure a good user experience. We'll have a peek at the internet banking application of a bank that operates in various countries throughout Europe and Scandinavia. Prime candidates for journeys in a banking or finance type application are tasks or operations that users may perform only occasionally, and so consequently they never really learn the process. If the transaction is fairly lengthy, even people who've done it before may not remember all the details. One such transaction might be exchanging currencies. So let's briefly look at an example of how this bank might approach creating a journey for that. Here are the steps we define for a demo journey through currency exchange using the Newired Editor, which we'll talk more about later. We'll play back this journey to see how it would look to end users of the Internet Banking app if Newired were installed there, which, by the way, it isn't. You'll be seeing Newired journeys overlaid on the bank site by our demo server. Actual customers of this bank who are using the bank site and the web app will definitely not see them. For that to happen, the bank would have to install Newired in their IT infrastructure and define journeys on their own Newired instance. More on that a bit later. When Newired is installed and running, the launcher widget appears in browsers of people using the web app or the website. Its shape and window location are configurable. For now, we'll play back our demo currency exchange journey in the Newired Editor application. In a complex user interface like a banking app, there can be many navigation options, and the feature the user wants may not be visible on the top level. Users can pretty easily forget how to access features they don't use very often. So the first step in this journey points right to the initial entry point for the currency exchange feature, which in this case happens to be inside the everyday banking area. With Newired journeys, the user interacts normally with the web application. Here, the user has clicked the Everyday Banking link, and as soon as the page loads, Newired plays the next journey step. In this case, it points the user to a link for launching the currency exchange feature of the Internet Bank. So even though the feature was not visible at first, there's no guessing, no time wasted hunting for the entry point, and I think you can imagine how users would appreciate that. Having reached the currency exchange page, the journey takes the user through each of the fields. Now, I won't take time to explain each one. We'll just briefly hop through them so you can get an idea of how one might design a journey for this feature of a banking or dedicated currency exchange application. Here, the journey has moved to a data entry field and directs the user what to do. When the user entered an amount in the data field, the journey moved on to the next step. And so on through the entire transaction. Notice that guidance at each step is completely contextual and relevant, crafted by internal experts to provide only what the user needs to know to complete the step. The user remains focused, and there's no need to search through online help, FAQs, or consult a PDF manual, or worse yet, call support. Finally, they complete the final step of the journey. In this case, because the user isn't logged in, they could only calculate the amounts of the exchange and not actually exchange currency. One of the secrets to good UX management is not to make assumptions about what your end users know. You might think that a task like logging in is so simple that no user could possibly ever need guidance. But with connection possibilities ranging from desktop PCs to mobile phones, coupled with the need for really bulletproof security, things can take on the aspect of complexity pretty quickly. Let's just take a few minutes to look at how quickly and easily you could build Newired journeys to guide users through various procedures, from the simplest, like logging in, right through to the most intricate. The Newired Editor is a local PC-based application for designers and authors of Newired journeys. With it, they can easily create guidance for end users of any web-based application. So it's really worth doing for even supposedly simple interactions like logging in. Let's take a look inside this one for logging in to the Internet Bank. Each journey you create contains one or more steps. We've already created one step in this journey. So let's have a look into the content. To do that, you just hover over the step in the steps list and click the little pencil icon. When you edit a step, you have a dialog that enables you to write up information for people who are at the current step in the journey. You can also do some advanced things with behavior and on-screen selection, but for now let's just concentrate on the basic guidance content. The rich text editor here lets you format text, create lists, add images, pretty much anything you would really need to do to provide guidance for the step. Most journeys will have more than one step, so let's briefly look at how you go about adding more steps. You can add a new one by clicking on Add Step in the header of the steps list in the Newired Editor. Now the editor actually browses the running web app or site, and it overlays a red outline on individual visual elements or groups of elements, as you can see here. Let's say that in this step we want to guide the end user to fill in the user ID field. We select the user ID text entry box by hovering above it and clicking on it after the red outline appears. Here's the same dialog we just saw, only it's empty now and ready for us to create content for the step. Things like the step title and description are straightforward, so let's not spend time on those. There are, however, a couple of other features here that might be interesting to understand even at this early stage. There are a number of options that control how the journey moves the user on to the next step. We won't go into all of them right now since this isn't a tutorial, and you will find guidance for them in the Newired Editor itself. Here we've selected the Edit Input option, which in this case will move on to the next step as soon as the user starts typing in the user ID field. And this can sometimes be a really good option for data entry fields. Engaging the Spotlight option will cause the journey to zero the user in on the visual element, in this case the user ID text field. The editor shows you how it will look to the end user who's going through the journey. When you save the new step, you go back to the list of steps for the current journey. And you can see here that our logging in journey now has 2 steps, and we could keep on adding steps to guide users through the entire process, but we won't do that here. I will just mention that you can always check your work on a journey by playing it back in the editor. We've already seen an example of that, so let's just stop here. We could, of course, go through more journeys and more transactions, but I think by now you can understand the potential value that UX management with Newired can deliver for users of online banking and other finance-related web apps. So let's just finish up with a couple of main takeaway points. First, Newired is an enterprise application that's hosted on your corporate IT infrastructure inside your security perimeter. There's no third-party cloud or host ever involved with your data. Newired journeys are completely separate from the web application they provide guidance for, so they can never break your applications or affect their performance. You can even host Newired on a separate physical server or virtual machine on your network. So that concludes this part of our presentation for today, and if you have any questions, you can type them into the chat or follow up with our team via our website at www.newired.com. And we do thank you very much for taking time to be with us today.
Thank you for watching. We will answer your questions with a follow-up by email. Meantime, I invite you to follow us on our social channels. And if you need further information, please contact us at info@newired.com. See you again soon!